let me fix this. So, the bio's up on the website, but, I've had my own little small environmental consulting firm for the last 20 years. I spent it's my 30-year anniversary in industry. I'll be retiring soon, I think. I have a wife with a PERS pension. And an account at a diamond store, which I have to because I have a wife in PERS. No, but I used to work for Hughes Aircraft Company, used to work for Hunt Wesson Foods up in corporate environmental affairs. And for the last 20 years with my own little company, we've do environmental compliance plans, programs, permits, training. A big part of what we do are SPCC plans, SPCC compliance. A few years ago, I was hired by the state to develop and teach all of the 3-day APSA regulatory agency CUPA inspector training. We did 18 classes all around the state. That was an experience, wasn't it? Did the online training for them. Good luck listening to that for 25 hours with a set of headphones. I'm on the APSA working group. I'm one of their technical advisors on there. Anyway, very well involved in the EPA SPCC program and in the APSA program. But as we go through this stuff, keep in mind, as we're going to talk about, I'm a goon outside consultant. I'm not a regulatory agency, right? What I have are my opinions, my impressions. It's not the regulatory do-all, be-all, right? So, we'll talk a little bit about that while I get this thing started and get off the rickety stage. No! Let's see if I have the right presentation. Hang on, I'm still getting over the Tux event from this morning. Just look on YouTube and I'm sure you'll find it. All right. Where's the clicker? Oh, here. It's a different clicker than I'm used to. All right. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today, this is not going to be a rehash of what the SPCC rule is. We're not going to be talking about detail of applicability of, hey, Pete, there's Pete Reich. Pete, introduce yourself. Woohoo!
I'm Pete Reich. I'm with the EPA. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right.
It's tough to get a parking spot around here. Always late. Always
It's all right. It's all right. Okay, but anyway, we're going to be talking about, basically so you have a better understanding of the applicability from an implementation standpoint. All right? Monday morning was kind of focused for APSA inspectors, right? The focus here, and I'll wait. Can't talk to you now, I'm in a class. It's quite a, oh, go ahead. All right. All right. I'll get it. This is going to be what I talk, like an industry focus. This is what how many of you guys are industry folks? I didn't bring enough business card. All right. How many guys are CUPA folks? How many guys are consultants? Get the hell out. No, I'm just kidding. All right. This is going to be primarily industry focused. All right. We're going to be, okay, look, this is what you should do in your SPCC plan and program, and here's some different compliance methods. But for the APSA folks, this is a lot of what you're going to see. There's going to be some good stuff, there's going to be some bad stuff, right? But you're going to see a lot of the different ways that folks can be in compliance. There's a lot of pictures. I know, 215 freaking slides, right? On screen, I know. There's more in your handout, right? You'll see a little, once you get them. You'll see a little thing on there that says this slide is hidden, not shown on, yes?
You're known to be really long-winded. Is this going to go on until 8 p.m.?
Pete knows me very well. It will not go on till 8 p.m. because my lovely bride is coming in and she won't let me. And I still have just a little bit of scotch left upstairs in the bottle, and that has to go before I pack it off to Hawaii on Friday. Oh no, the dogs are at home chasing the neighborhood cats. All right, anyway, but to get a better understanding of the major compliance requirements, we're not going to talk about all of them, right? We are not going to harp on underground versus above ground tanks, thankfully, and really to talk about efficient and effective plan development and implementation. As was rightfully emphasized several times over the last couple of APSA classes in particular, how many of you guys went to the excellent APSA Inspector, what was that, Tuesday morning? Yeah, Tuesday morning at 10. How many guys went to that? That was fabulous. What lesson did you learn out of that class? Or that workshop? What did you learn? No, that was the one, that was yesterday afternoon. The one in the morning, Randy Sawyer, Clark Piquel, Nancy Pence from San Diego, some of the inspectors were talking about this is what they've been finding on their inspections. Whoever was there, what did you learn? That everyone does it different. For you inspectors who had my class and actually stayed awake and didn't Vicodin out of it, right? Remember the infinite number of monkeys standard. That's what's being found in real life. What else did you learn? Implementation, right? There's always a disconnect. My plan looks great, your facility sucks. There's always a difference between what's written down and what you see in the field. Always remember this. The plan is a living plan. It is the written description of what you should be doing out in the field, right? What's another thing you learned? Yes, sir?
Well, I was just going to share that one thing I find is burn secondary containment and housing.
Yeah, that's implementation. People don't check, right? People only do what's important to their boss. If it's not important to the plant manager, the people keep valves closed. Valves are not going to be closed. People only do what you inspect, not what you expect. I know they're not the witty Texas tank guy witticism. That's all I got. All right, so we're going to talk about that. And really to help better assure that you could successfully pass an inspection, right? If you do everything we're going to talk about, you do it right. Pete here, man, that man's fast. Pete back there, see, I thought between you and Bob, Pete here shows up to your facility, he's a wonderful guy. He's a terrific guy. You want him off your property as fast as humanly possible, right? Same thing with the CUPA inspectors, but as happy and as satisfied as humanly possible. Thank you very much. You want it to be very clear that your plan is in place, is proper, and is being properly implemented, all right? And again, just the caveat, I am an outside consultant. What do I think? What do you want me to think, all right? I'm going to give you guys how many of you guys from private industry have thought about or may use a consultant to help you with your SPCC plan? Yeah, you can raise your hand. I'm stuck up here for 4 hours. I'm not going to come get you. Right? For you CUPA folks, how many facilities that you're inspecting have said, yeah, the engineer I hired to do this, here's what they did. Bunch of them, right? Hold your consultants accountable. I'm going to harp on this all through. Right? I'm an outside evil consultant, right? But I had a real job once having to implement this stuff in industry. So we're going to talk about some of the ways to write and implement your plan to actually make it work. And for you facility folks, take ownership of this process. Your consultant, your engineer works for you. You don't have to be subject to whatever it is they tell you. You need to control that process. Take ownership of that plan so that you don't get in trouble. But anyway, that's it. And it says here, if you're not part of the solution, there's good money to be made in prolonging the problem. That was too long to put on my license plate frame, so I just put, I make my loot when you pollute. And yeah, that's copywritten. All right, some of you were laughing at the unfortunate nature of some of the slides that I had. All right, some of these are open source, some are from my wonderful clients who let me post stuff after we fixed it. Some of these I've begged and borrowed from EPA, some I got from other sources. I don't mean to criticize, right? These are all examples, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. Can somebody shrink that down just a little bit? One of the guys back there, just a tad so we can see the title. All right. Just a real quick reminder, right? Remember, tank facilities are subject to APSA, and we've already harped on through this, right? If they have 1,320 gallons or greater of petroleum, we're going to clarify just a couple of minor things. And if they're subject to it or they're subject to the SPCC rule, they have to prepare and implement an SPCC plan in accordance with the federal rules, pay fees, submit a tank facility statement if the CUPA so requires. All right, there's a couple of nuances in the definitions under APSA. In our experiences, a couple of facilities have tried to get out of it by claiming certain things that weren't actually true. One of them is, under APSA, a tank facility has to comply. What's a tank facility? Well, a tank facility is, An owner-operator that has an aggregate of 1,320 gallons or greater of petroleum, counting 55-gallon containers or greater, at a single location or site. All right. Somebody submitted a, the CUPA told this business, sorry, you have to comply with APSA. I said, oh, no. We don't reach 1,320 gallons at each of our facilities. They turned in their, find my laser, they turned in their business plan. And they said, look, we have two separate parcels. Right? We have the auto shop here and auto shop here. That's our parcel line. They're two separate addresses. There's another service bay. Each one over here and over here are less than 1,320 gallons of petroleum. They said they are out of APSA. What would you say? Don't know. What matters? Single location, single owner operator. In general, what do you think the considerations are? What would make this two separate facilities, two separate sites, two separate operators? Okay, fence or not. What else? Maybe discharge points. Although these are, this is an automotive dealership with a big repair shop. Right? So maybe a fence, maybe separate sewer discharge points. What else? Maybe a couple different business IDs. Remember, think not just owner, but think operator. Practical stuff. What do you think? How many different service managers they have? What's the organizational structure? What else? Everyone wearing the same shirt? Yeah, two different services entirely, right? Who works for who? Can somebody walk across this imaginary line and borrow some tools from these guys? Right? Is there one HR department? Do their checks have one address on them? These kind of practical tips. And this is the facility, right? How many facilities is that? One or two? It's one facility, right? They have different buildings. I don't care if the property line runs here in between, two separate parcel numbers. It's the same operation. These guys want to complain about deductions on their check, they go to HR, right? Guy over here wants to get different vacation. He goes over here to where his boss's office is. It's one facility, right? Now, under the EPA revised definition of facility under 40 CFR 112.2, it's almost like a performance standard, but it's very similar, right? Typically, larger sites like campuses, military installations, very large industrial campuses, may potentially be two different facilities under the federal rule, but it's the same type of thing. Similar operation, similar control, not just distance, right? So these may be considerations. All right, so for those of you with big, huge facilities, don't try and play games. All right, we're not really going to get too much into petroleum versus EPA oils. That's been hidden, to ad nauseum in some other classes. I don't know why it's striping in like this. Basically, under APSA, petroleum is any crude oil, any straight distillate, or refined fraction. If it has to go through a chemical synthesis process, it's not a petroleum. Folks may say, yeah, but it's made from petroleum. Well, yeah, but if it goes through chemical synthesis, it's not petroleum. If it's mixed with petroleum, then it's in. All right, so keep that in mind. And I don't want to harp on it because it's been harped on in other classes. And that's fine. But I will harp on how many of you folks may be Tier 1 or Tier 2 qualified facility under the federal program. You don't know. All right, what's the criteria? You APSA inspectors. Less than? First, what's a qualified facility? Less than how much? 10,000 gallons or less of what? Oils. What kind of oils? Any kind of oils, right? All right, and under the federal program, about the only thing that's not an oil is, I don't know, this carpet. Actually, let me rephrase. I'm sure there are parts. All right, so less than 10,000 gallons or less of any type of oil, and not yet. And no big discharges into navigable waters in the last 3 years. Then they could be a qualified facility. Difference between a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 qualified facility. No tank greater than 5,000 gallons, Tier 1 facility. All right, but what do you count in terms of, somebody comes to you and says, oh yeah, I've got all these, lube oil tanks and the maintenance tanks and a bunch of drums, and I have less than 10,000 gallons of petroleum, I'm a qualified facility. And you go back to the Franklin potato chip factory and tell them, well, maybe not, because what else do they might they have there?
Elevators.
Well, the 20,000 gallon tank of vegetable oil they're using to make potato chips, right? Even though the APSA inspectors are only concerned about enforcing regarding petroleum under APSA, to determine whether it's a qualified facility or not, you have to count all oils, right? That's about it. Once you're done with that, you're done worrying about what's an oil, what's a petroleum. Right, then you're only concerned about petroleum. In California, for you facilities, right, and for you consultants doing plans for facilities, what do you care about when you're writing an SPCC plan for your beloved client? All oils. Do you care about APSA exempt equipment such as transformers, oil-filled electrical equipment, and the like? Yes, you are, because they're federally regulated. The short answer is you have a facility that's 40 CFR 112 regulated. They're an SPCC facility, probably captured under APSA. What kind of plan do you write? Federal plan? Write a federal plan. Then you're done. It's up to the APSA inspector to kind of determine what they look at, what they don't. It'd be wonderful if you made it easy for them and maybe had a separate table of transformers and other APSA exempt stuff, just to make it easy. But all right, keep that in mind. Oh God, how much petroleum? We've already harped on this, right? But just as a sort of a reminder, it's a performance standard. There is no de minimis concentration of oil or petroleum that kicks anybody in or out. It is a performance standard. If that liquid of concern gets to a navigable waterway, is there enough oil to cause a sheen upon the water or deposit a sludge, upon the shoreline or an emulsion? If there is, it's an oil. I don't care if it's 100 parts per million or 100%. It's a performance standard. And it's up to you and your engineer to figure that out. We've made qualitative decisions. It's only 10 parts per million oil. Is it really going to reach a waterway? Not really. I'll probably kick it out. There are some things I'm just going to put it in. And if it's an otherwise SPCC regulated facility, it's not a huge big deal to just add that equipment or add those systems in. If it's going to make the determination between is it in or is it out of the program, then it might look a little bit more of an engineering basis, but you can't just say, look, it's only 0.5%, it's not in. That's not the consideration. So keep that in mind. And I've seen facilities and I've seen consultant plans that either use the 5%, which has no meaning at all, except in filling out a tank facility statement, or said, well, it's less than 1%, so it doesn't matter. That would be inaccurate. And that's a sign of somebody who's not that familiar with the requirements. If that's what could happen, that's enough oil to kick in. And am I standing with you guys? I'm trying. I know it's very heavy hair up here, so it tends to block things. It makes it soft focused, doesn't it? Yeah, but if that's enough oil, getting into a navigable waterway, and yes, storm drain's navigable waterway, that's enough, right? So, think about that. And typically, again, for the real low stuff, that's an engineering determination. Again, write a federal plan. If you comply with the feds, you're good. The only thing additional you have to do for APSA compliance is possibly fill out a tank facility statement. Like that's going to take more than 20 minutes, right? And then pays your fees. That may take longer, but that's about it. Write a federally compliant plan, and you're done. All right, compliance dates. Please don't sue me. I swear handouts are coming. All right, what's the big compliance date? What's the date that you're concerned? Come on, you guys. November 10th. What year? They did change it. Okay, why am I working 20 hours a day, not enjoying my life? Because the date has already passed, and I'm late in doing my SPCC plans for my beloved clients. And I'm learning how to write them when they say, hey, the inspector was just here. Oh, holy God. November 10th, 2010, right? What's the significance of that? Well, That's right, it's all the roll-up compliance date, right? So a facility that's already in operation, already regulated, they better have an SPCC plan in place that meets all the current compliance requirements. That means when you're looking at one of their plans, or you're looking at your plan, or you're preparing a plan for your beloved client, don't write a plan that has all the old crud in it. You know, don't write a plan. We're going to go through it later on, and you're going to see my review notes, right? I'm reviewing a plan that was just redone by a company that touts its SPCC experience, that really ought to know better, and it sucks. And the first indication is they're referencing the wrong regulations. They have the old pre-2002 engineering certification language. That's a hint, right? They're saying, well, gee, when the Steel Tank Institute SP001 standard 3rd edition comes out, we'll comply with that, right? It's not an updated plan, right? So for everybody, it'd be wonderful if the plans that are written for you or that you write are up to date, right? Somebody should go to the eCFR and pull down the current SPCC regs, not find some archived PDF version on Wikipedia, because those could have been from 2003. A hint for you guys, EPA's website, www.epa.gov/oil spill. Find the little thing that says regional inspector guidance. Yeah, it is a big guidance, but until they update the whole thing, which is just getting pretty close to being done, find Appendix G. As in G, this is a very helpful guidance document. And download the latest U.S. Environmental Protection Agency SPCC Field Inspection and Plan Review Checklist dated November 21st, 2011, right? Compare your plan to this, right? That will help assure you that it is current and complete and comprehensive. Clarity is not included. Anyway, so that's it. I'm just saying. All right, gee, what do you think? Overfill prevention? It's not just a suggestion. All right, so let's talk about understanding the basic rule. And again, this isn't going to be the whole big entire rule. This is going to be, some of the salient points where pictures can be identified. All right, real quick on the regulation. And again, this should be sort of, background for everybody, but just a couple of quick notes, right? So you have the oil, the federal oil regulations in 40 CFR Part 112 of relevant concern for SPCCs under APSA 112.1 through 112.8. The animal fats and kernel and nut oils and fish and whale oils and all that kind of stuff comes in 0.9, 0.10, 0.11. Oil production and workover facilities, offshore oil facilities, which are an SPCC and EPA concern and regulatory capture, typically are out of APSA, so we're going to not discuss it anymore. There is the facility response plan requirement for those facilities that pose a substantial risk or substantial harm, typically facilities with buku oil storage and overwater transfer. You should know that you're one of these.